Hello MAUSD families. My name is Patrick Reen. I'm superintendent for MAUSD. Well, week 2 is now in the books and we're beginning to hit our stride. Our routines are getting established, the challenges are getting ironed out, and everyone is beginning to feel a little more comfortable in their surroundings. Though we're settling into our routines, we know that our hybrid model is far from ideal, especially for families with young children. We know many of you are really struggling to make this work, and we appreciate your efforts to do so. I hope today's video helps to provide some hope for our planning for the future. Today I'm going to talk about a day in the life of a Mount Abe student, planning for the near future, and what happens when a student is symptomatic or tests positive. I also have a reminder about health screening, about face coverings, and about travel.
When students arrive at Mount Abraham, they go to one of multiple entrances. When they enter the building, they are health screened with their temperatures taken, and they're asked if they completed the health form in the morning. Students then are able to pick up breakfast and go to advisory. If students are late coming to school after an appointment, they check in at the main office and have their temperature taken and are given a pass to go to class. Students then attend advisory first thing in the morning. They have the ability to eat breakfast, visit with their classmates in their advisory to build community and begin their day. Students are changing classes throughout the day. The classes have desks and chairs set up 6 feet apart whenever possible. Some have plexiglass dividers. Students walking in the hallway keep to the right, and we have one hallway that's even one way. Many of our teachers are taking advantage of our beautiful campus and having classes outdoors when the weather permits. At the end of the day, our students are dismissed in 3 different groups. Our students riding the bus, our walkers, drivers, and students getting picked up, and then lastly, the athletes. This limits the number of students in the hallway trying to exit the building at any one time. When students get on the bus, they are required to use hand sanitizer and then sit in an assigned seat. We are happy to say that our athletic teams have started practicing. Hopefully, they will have the opportunity to play games before the end of the season. Athletes have the ability to see the athletic trainer outside in the training tent before and during practice. All athletes and coaches are required to wear masks during practice and are enjoying participating in their sport at the end of the day.
Though we're getting more comfortable with our hybrid learning model, we know there are many struggles for students, families, and teachers as we try to make everything work. In earlier communications, I've mentioned that we want to bring students back for more in-person instruction as soon as we can safely do so. I've also mentioned that we hope to bring back our younger students for more in-person instruction in about the 4 to 6 week window after the start of school. Well, today I want to inform you that we're still on track for that 4 to 6 week window, and I intend to share more information in next week's video, including some information about longer range thinking for our secondary students. In the meantime, there are a couple of important things for families to be thinking about. One, when we do bring younger students back for more in-person instruction, we expect it will be 5 days a week. In grades where we are providing in-person instruction 5 days a week, families will be able to choose either 5 days a week of in-person instruction or 5 days a week of remote instruction. No hybrid option will be provided. As you begin to consider what works best for your family, please watch for next week's video, which will include enrollment information for a virtual elementary school option. Number 2, when younger students return to full-time in-person instruction, The ELP childcare program will no longer operate. The ELP will return to offering after-school academic enrichment, creative play, and student-led activities. ELP will also offer care on early release days. As you consider your family's childcare needs, please look for ELP after-school enrollment forms in next week's video as well when we share more information. As you can imagine, we're fielding a lot of questions about what happens if a student is symptomatic or tests positive. Well, if a student is symptomatic at home, they should stay home. If a student has one symptom, such as a runny nose, that is attributable to a known condition, such as allergies, that student would not be considered to be symptomatic of COVID. That's a symptom of their allergies that the family knows exist. In that case, the student would not be expected to stay home from school. In these cases, you should follow your normal routine for addressing those symptoms for the known condition. If a student tests positive for COVID, they can return to school when 10 days have passed since the symptoms first appeared, and they have been fever-free without any medications for at least 24 hours, and they are no longer symptomatic. If a student is symptomatic at school, they will be escorted to and supervised in that school's isolation room. There, they're going to wait to be picked up by a parent or an emergency contact person. We will not send symptomatic students home on the bus or with staff members. They will need to be picked up at the school by a family member or an emergency contact person. Because each school has limited isolation room capacity, it is very important for families to immediately make arrangements for the student to get picked up. Out of an abundance of caution, we are going to be making more calls home for students to get picked up than we normally would. This is for everyone's health and safety. Please cooperate with school staff when they call and ask you to pick your child up as soon as possible. I just want to remind families that we are asking you to complete the health screener for your children before they leave for school every morning on the days that they're attending school in person. You don't have to fill it out on their remote learning days. If your child passes the screener, they're all set to go to school. If they don't pass the screener, we are asking you to keep them home and make sure that they don't come to school until they're fever-free or symptom-free for at least 24 hours without medications. I also want to remind families about face coverings. Proper face covering is essential to help prevent the spread of COVID-19. Face coverings need to have at least 2 layers of cotton or a polycotton blend, tightly woven. And if you're not able to send your child with a proper face covering, we'll help provide them one here at school. Aside from outdoor time with proper distance, and when eating or drinking, students and staff will be expected to wear their face coverings the entire day. I also want to remind you about travel. If a student or staff member travels outside of Vermont for non-essential purposes to a county identified as having more than 400 cases per million, or travels outside of Vermont by public transportation, they must quarantine for 14 days or for 7 days with a negative COVID test before they can come back to school. Examples of essential travel include medical appointments and visitations with parents who share custody. Students who need to quarantine are encouraged to access their learning remotely. You can search the Vermont COVID travel map to stay up to date with the counties that do not require quarantining. And that map updates every week on Fridays. As we continue to target bringing students back for more in-person instruction in that 4 to 6 week window, please know we do so with the best interests of the students, staff, and educators as the driver. We will only do so if we feel confident we can provide a safe environment. As always, you can find more information on our website, MAUSD.org, and if you have questions, you can submit them to covid.help@mausd.org. Again, thanks for listening, and we'll be back next week with more information.